I've been out of touch, so I don't even know. The gold was a little bit higher when I left this morning. The Swiss was a lot lower.
The Swiss is still
I don't know.
lower. I was just going through the metals currency crosses, and it's trying to put an ORH day in against in euros.
Well, how much lower is the Swiss in the euro now?
So the euro's down 32 ticks, 34 ticks.
Oh, so that's come back quite a bit.
Yeah, and the Swissie's down 20. So the low of the day was put in just before the Italian bond started to rally this morning, or just before.
Yeah. And what about you have to fill in, what are the U.S. Did the U.S. bonds rally off the European bonds?
No, they sat there like a dead fish. All the European debt rallied except for the Swiss, which closed down 64 ticks, and the U.S. debt hasn't reacted yet.
Okay. What are the Spoos doing? You have to give me a fill in here, so I just know where I'm at.
We're up a little bit.
Yeah, the high was 96.75. They're 92 last. Everybody wants to be.
What's the high?
96.75.
We opened up
and where are they at now?
92.
Okay. What else? Anything else moved today?
It was Big Cap Tech Day. It was Shopify rallied $11 out of the opening range to the upside. IBB was strong. Apple was strong. Up five. It was up almost $6, over $6 at one point. They came back for Google. Amazon is soft with Costco and some of the bigger retailers, Walmart and Home Depot, and Visa and MasterCard haven't found footing, but it's all in tech and biotech.
Okay. All right. And how did the Bunds and Oats wind up closing today?
The Bunds closed at 174.21, up 23. The Oats were up 35. The Bonos were up 20. And and it was the Italians that were up the most. They were up 98 ticks. So when the Italians started to go, that's when I let off on the gold.
Okay. Yeah, smart. And how much higher is the gold today?
It's $4.80 higher. So the low last night was 92.90. The low on the silver last night was I think I don't know if it went down to they showed 17.97.
Okay. All right. So thank you. I saw your piece this morning about my piece last night, so appreciate it. I don't know if you saw my comment. These guys may be from your room. I had a couple comments from guys who I haven't seen before. He said it'd be absurd, but I don't know if that's been the tone of the discussion. My answer to him, I don't know if you guys read it, was it's absurd. We're already in the twilight zone. Rod Serling would be enjoying this, and he'd probably the ECB would probably be busy giving out. Oh shit! Handing out copies of How to Serve Capitalism.
Yeah.
In the famous Twilight Zone, but.
Well, the whole FD this morning was all about how the European Union installed all the women to give Trump a hard time.
Yeah, I'm sorry. What was it?
It was the whole front page. The whole first couple of pages were all about all the women in power in the EU right now that all hate Trump.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a bad way to set your policy, though. But
Yeah.
so be it. First of all, they don't all hate Trump, but that's a different story. All right, so going into what the European bank stocks do today? That's my final.
You know, I didn't even look. Hang on. Deutsche Bank broke a little bit, but held its 200-day at 811. It's 8.25 last, down, 5 cents.
Yeah, just yesterday I started watching that European bank, and I did some work on it yesterday, as you guys have done. But
is that
yeah, it's just right. The one I can get on CQG. It was at 877 yesterday. I don't know what it did today.
Well, the EFA is just up and going.
Yeah.
Angela, which banking ETF do you think Ira's looking at?
Banking ETF?
It's ESB, something like that. EBSZ. It comes up these. So.
Does he mean an ETF of European banks, financials?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh crap.
I have it written down. I just can't get to it.
Okay. I'm putting on my stock screener to see which of those banks right now are going.
I'm going to try to get my shit together and hopefully make out, because I got to figure out where I'm going to be working from in the morning. So.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, all I'm going to do is add to those gold calls and silver calls on the close. That's probably the only thing I'm doing here. I mean, how do you do you think they're going to come in for both stocks and bonds, or?
Well,
continue on.
Wait, hold on a second.
I-820 west, and then I-820 west is on the right.
You know what? I can't be more. I'm just not sure. I just not sure. The market tells me that it'll be light on bonds because there's just not enough bonds to buy. So I'm just going to.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what's going on. It's Bank of the Ozark ORH Day. A lot of the insurers, AIG, TD,
Shit.
HSBC is up at its 50 day. I have no idea what to do with that. And that Italian thing, Banco Ito, I mean, that's sideways here right now, waiting for tomorrow.
Proceed on I-820 west.
Oh, did you get yourself turned around? Brutal.
Hey, again, this is going to be a tough one. Now, if Draghi would just go quietly, but I don't think he's capable of it. He's got too much ego. That's why I drew that line out of his June speech, because he believes, the European Court of Justice has given them carte blanche to do whatever the hell they want. And so it would not surprise me. And here's the way it's going to go at the press conference. If they're going to buy equities, here's the claim he's going to buy it under. Well, we need to have liquidity, and based on market actions, European banks and financials are way undervalued, and that's true. If you use book valuations, as we do in the United States when we want to value the banks as, what provides the best value, you start breaking them down and doing their, capital ratios and everything else, and you come up with a number and their earnings, and you go, wow, they are so cheap relative to the book value. And if he said, that's what he'll have to sell this as, going, we're just doing this. We're going to make a lot of money with it. That's what I was going to say. The bank hasn't always done well here because they've had some bonds that have gone upside down. But if they buy stock and they go, we're buying bank stocks that are just so cheap because of maybe some of our policies, so we're helping to rectify that policy. That's the piece I would be expecting to hear.
Ira, I think the ETF you were looking for is the European Financials, EUFN.
No, this is, I'm talking about what, I get this on CQG. I think it's EBS that comes up.
Which one is it? EBS?
EBS Z, D, it's D now, so EBS Z9.
Okay, let's give that a whirl.
Maybe that will see if it works. I don't know.
It doesn't like that one.
Okay. I have it written down. I was watching it. I did some work on it last night, so forgive me.
But the U fund, that's up and going. The European Financials is up and going, that ETF, which, hold on, everybody can trade. Let me pull that up. There it is. Are we all on the right screen here?
No, you got crude oil up.
Hold on. There we go.
That's it.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, so this thing has just been up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days and going. And it's trying to break out through the cloud, and the cloud's thin here. So if it gets a little higher, it's going to go.
That's just, what's the price on that?
It's $17.62.
Oh, yeah, it's not the same chart, but it's mirroring it because it's been up for 6 straight days. That's right. So, now let me tell you how funny the world works, okay?
All right.
I got a call yesterday afternoon around 4 o'clock from my good buddy Stevie M.
Oh, yeah?
He's standing in a Starbucks on Fingston and Willow, and there's a guy in front of him wearing a suit and carrying a hanging bag, traveling bag. So the line is long, and Steve starts talking to him, and it turns out that the guy is a global macroeconomist at the Hoover Institution at Stanford.
Wow.
And they start discussing negative interest rates and the European bonds. So the guy says to him, don't be so... He says a lot of the reason that those bonds get bought, which is true, and we've actually talked about it because Steve wanted to verify it. And the guy said to him, because there's no FDIC capability in Europe, which is true. So large depositors will basically buy a negative yielding bond, and if it goes up, fine. But they need a place to park their money, and rather than parking it in bank accounts that they need to worry about, they'll just buy the sovereign debt, even if it yields nothing.
Wow.
Or less than. So Steve wanted to call and talk about it, which we did. He didn't remember the guy's name, but I said, oh, that's kind of funny. The guy was just traveling through. He had a meeting in Chicago, and they wanted him. The guy says, how do you know about all this stuff?
Yeah, well, he was, at least Steve was the right guy to quiz him, too.
Right, exactly. So I thought it was quite funny. That's how the world works there.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, well, we got to get him to come in. I got to send him a note.
I told him that.
Bring him in and aggravate him just for drill.
I told him that. Absolutely. And then I had a conversation with Kevin McCarthy. I told him to come in the room, too.
Well, I'd be more
because he called me up.
Yeah, they can come in whenever. Kevin and Steve obviously can come in whenever the hell he wants. How we want.
They're always a big guy.
Yeah.
But,
all they have to do is send me a note that it's okay for me to put them on that list, to email them, and they're more than welcome to come in.
But I'll let him know because he called me laughing about my quip about Rod Serling to that in that answer to the guy's question, and I told him he was hysterical. I said, when I wrote that, I knew you were going to call me because we're such big Twilight Zone fans. I knew he was going to call me. I said I was going to write that maybe they should just wish. I wish the kid would wish Draghi to the cornfield, and that would be the end of him. But that didn't wear well. So, sorry for all you young guys who don't know the Twilight Zone, but it was a brilliant show.
Yeah, they're generationally challenged, Ira.
Yeah, they are, but so be it. Sorry. All right, so I really think that Draghi can get the bank. It'll be hard for him. He'll probably have to say financial stocks. That's what they're going to be looking to purchase. And I don't know that this is a done deal. Really, I wish he would do nothing. But if he does nothing, or he fears a May 2013 outcome, which would basically be equivalent to a taper tantrum, because he's set the market up for such a big dose of liquidity that, again, these guys just keep trapping themselves. They just keep trapping themselves. And they can't escape the trap because they won't respect markets enough to understand that. I think actually Christine Lagarde understands that, believe it or not. Because she's seen what markets can do, because she's been at least at one time was in the private sector. And even at the IMF, she watched very nervously when they were crushing the European debt at times because of the Greek situation. So she sees it, but Draghi is just so married to it. I really wish he'd come out and say, look, thank you for your six years of time, or 8 years. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. We've done all we can. I'm handing it off to capable hands, and we hope that Brussels gets their act together and figures out how to get these different nations to spend money. But what makes this even more interesting, as I pointed out last night, was when Navarro was on with Joe Kernan yesterday morning.
Yeah.
And Navarro kept talking about, every time Kernan would bring this up, and when they got away from China, he said, well, if Germany would undertake a fiscal stimulus, if Germany, I think he said it 3 or 4 times, which really caught my ear because he's pushing this, which, as I said, it must be the latest rage within the White House. And that means that they're going to pressure, and that's what Trump and Macron must have found some comfort in, because the U.S. could really make a difference here, because they could threaten, especially German automakers, with tariffs. So there's ways to play this. So at the bottom line, and Judd, when you put out those charts you were very timely on the Spoo DAX.
Yeah.
Pay attention, because if that takes place, and I don't know that it's going to take place, nobody does. You know, it's like trying to outline Brexit right now. And I tell you,
I-820 south and then I-30 west is on the right.
So I can't tell you what the outcomes of Brexit are. I mean, you really have to be steeped, and I know a lot about British history, and I've looked at this, but I don't know enough to be able to venture any real deep analysis of what's going to take place there. I can tell you that it's a good thing that they've had a weakening pound, because the economics have never been as dire. Have never been as dire as predicted by even Carney, who I have very little respect for. But they have been way off base as to how badly this whole thing would affect the UK. So, again,
Proceed on I-30 West.
oh shit, I missed it. Fuck.
Oh, no.
Shit. Yeah, I'll have to come back to it.
I hate it when that
Shit.
happens.
Not my fault. Not paying attention. All right.
Blame it on Brexit.
Exit 2 is on the right, and then right turn.
Okay.
But when you going to see
so-
Clapton, tonight or tomorrow night?
No, Saturday night.
Oh, cool.
I'm on a 2-day drive to Phoenix.
Okay. Well, don't stop for a Lone Star.
Ira,
No.
I've got a question for you if you have a sec.
Yeah, no. Better off that you guys ask questions, and I could. It's hard to do this freestyle.
In my simple mind, the only benefit I could see from the ECB doing QQE and buying bank stocks, right, would be an opportunity for the banks to issue more shares and reliquefy themselves.
I agree. That's the way they'll build their capital base.
About 2 miles.
Yeah.
To
You know,
I-30
other than
West.
that, you know, just buying bank stock is not going to change the underlying fundamentals of the banks themselves.
Not one iota.
No.
As we know, none of this has. Well, let me. Who's that, Angela?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Now, this morning before I left, what caught my eye is what's going on with the Japanese bank stocks.
All right.
Put up MFG and then put up MUFG.
Mitsuo is through the roof.
Yeah.
Totally.
Don't know what's going on.
I mean, that's a big 2-day breakout in there.
Oh, God.
Huge on the weekly.
Yeah.
And what was the other one?
Which one did you put up? MFG?
Yeah, I put up Mitsuo.
Yeah, now put up MUFG, which is Mitsubishi.
Mitsubishi.
Yeah.
All right, look at
Put that
that's
one
a
up.
beautiful formation on a monthly too, for a lot higher. I mean, it's
Oh,
a
it's-
huge weekly breakout.
Trust me, I've been long these stocks for 10 years. So don't laugh. Don't laugh.
Ira,
'cause I basically-
hasn't the BOJ been doing QQE with bank stocks for a while now?
Yeah, it hasn't made a shit.
Half of a mile
Wait, hold on.
straight onto I-30 West.
It hasn't made a shitload of. It's helped some of the REITs because they've bought a ton of REITs. They don't really own the bank stocks. They've been buying some ETFs, some REITs. Not necessarily the banks per se. The banks have just been getting hammered because they just can't make any friggin' money.
Straight ahead onto I-30 West.
Okay, I'm back to where I'm supposed to be.
Proceed on I-30 West.
So it's interesting that all of a sudden these are going to break out. And I was actually going to get short some yen because I've been short Swiss against the Canadian. And I was going to sell some yen. And I said, you know what? I can't do it with these bank stocks doing what they're doing because something is happening. I mean, how much is it up? When I left the house this morning, it was up a little bit. But the charts just look interesting.
What, the yen?
No, these two bank stocks.
Oh, they're both up. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, they're both up big on the daily. They gapped higher. I mean, Mitsubishi gapped 15 cents higher, 20 cents higher, and hasn't backed off.
Yeah, it's huge. Now you laugh, but I've been in these stocks at a little lower prices than this, because when I thought Japan was really going to come out of this in 2010, 2011. So I've actually owned these, but it's paid enough of a dividend, so it's almost like I've owned preferred stocks. They've done shit. You see they have moves up, but they've been sitting here so dormant. Yeah, I actually love those dormant patterns because when they really start to come out of them.
Yeah, it hasn't gone
And that's like one of the best. Yeah.
You know, Ira, Nomura is ripping today. Nomura, that looks really good to me.
What's you know what? I owned that too for a long time, but their dividend got cut, and I got rid of it because they were just because I always thought, and once all the Japanese people started trading again, that it would pick up. Never did shit. What's the price on it? $7?
No, $4.46.
Angelo, what's the symbol?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the ADRs.
What's the symbol?
NMR. NMR. Yeah, Nancy Mary Robert.
I know it well.
The dividend's 1.25%.
Yeah. At one time it was higher, and then they ran. It's a badly managed company, as a lot of Japanese companies are. But the banks, when you put up those banks, they just can't make any money. And the problem with the Nomura, and I owned it, and I did okay with it, and then I held on to too much of it. But in this low interest rate environment, brokerages are just shit businesses because they can't make any money on the capital that they retain in those customer accounts. So interesting. But some is what percentage are those bank stocks up in the last week?
I can tell you.
Nomura's up 10%.
Yeah.
No.
But other than all of these financials, Ira, rebuilding their capital bases, but where do they go from there?
I have no idea. No idea, because, again, until the economy really takes off, and Japan, as certain people write about with their balance sheet recessions and rebuilding their balance sheets, there's just been no need for borrowing. But if interest rates pop here a little bit, and when I say pop, if interest rates went up 20 basis points in Japan, for these banks, it would be a great thing. You're talking about making nothing to at least making something. Maybe that's what they're getting a sense of. I don't know. But I did see them popping. And if you want to see how dynamic this stuff can be, because they've been so underpriced for so long, I will tell, and Judd will tell you the same thing, as traders. When you see things like this go sideways, and just grind, and they start to come out of here, that's really when you want to get on board. Because you can define your risk. It's like these guys in, excuse me. It's like all these people are finding out now as they're getting killed in these momentum stocks.
Oh yeah.
Wow, I know Zero Hedge ran that piece, and it was actually a really good piece. And the hit that the momentum versus value guys have taken. It's not a Lone Star I'm opening, by the way. It's a LaCroix. It's when they do start coming out, pay attention. Now, this may just be a totally false breakout, but it is something to be attentive to.
Yeah, and plus,
so Ira, if you were going to do that, if you were going to bottom fish in some of these, global banks, I mean,
Yeah.
personally, I'd be more inclined to buy Japanese versus European for
Not gonna
a whole bunch of reasons.
Yeah.
Right? Would you
Yep.
be thinking
No.
the same way?
I already own them. I don't own any European banks. I've stayed off them totally. Oh no, that's not true. I own UBS, and that's only because of my respect for Axel Weber. But these, or if there's Germans online, Axel Weber. But you know, that's been dead money too. But I'm still looking for, and I've said this long ago, as you guys know, I think that there's going to be a Deutsche Bank UBS merger, because they'll take the Deutsche Bank trading operation and its huge lending German operation and couple it with UBS Wealth Management, which is a real power. And then UBS Wealth Management has not grown as much as they would like it in Asia, but that could be a real powerhouse, especially if Deutsche Bank can ring fence all their shitty assets like the United States did, with TARP and under those programs.
Yeah, 1195 is the closing resistance in UBS. I run the weekly.
Yeah, it's been shit. I own it. I can tell you for about $13.20. I've owned it for a few years. It's paid enough of a dividend where I've been fine, so I'm not crying about it. And that's what keeps me. And I don't own enough to make a difference to me one way or another. But I just think that this play, and I have not been a fan of the European financials. I thought Deutsche Bank up at 27.25 had looked good, and that was in 2016 or 2017. But I said if you couldn't hold there, that was the 200-day moving average. Do not stay, because something else is bigger there, because it had everything going for it where it should have been popping, but no. So that brings us full circle to the initial Angelo question. So they could, I don't want fucking Abilene. What the hell is this? Where are you taking? Wow.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's right.
And you know what else you got going on in Deutsche Bank, Ira? You got this thing has the potential to really go, because the low of the quarter is 644, okay?
Yeah.
And now it's higher for on the semi-annual. It's now higher on the semi-annual for the last, for the last year, okay, for the last two bonds. So this thing is just setting up to double. That's what that looks like to me.
Okay. I mean, it'd be, again, but I'll tell you two things that work for us. If you'll get an initial bump out of here if they announce that that's what they were doing, a QQE with a special emphasis on buying the banks. And I don't know that they're doing that. I have no idea. But, of course, that's what BlackRock has been calling for, too. Number two, if you were actually to get a fiscal stimulus out of them, interest rates would go higher, and the banks would also do better with that. So there's all kinds of things going on here that could be positive for the banks.
Yeah, 897 is a quarterly ORH, and then it'll double.
Yeah, well, that's you do the work, and again, it's just the fundamentals could actually buoy it up here, but the central banks they have not been good for the banking industry, especially in Europe, because for the U.S. banks, because they're the intermediaries for the corporate bond market in Europe is not nearly as deep as in the United States. So, I mean, all these things are in play.
So, Ira, if you thought something were beginning to change fundamentally on the planet, wouldn't you expect to see copper start to make a move, a nice trending move?
What did copper do today? It was a little lower this morning.
Yeah, it's a little lower.
It's at 259.60. Doesn't that? It's just sideways.
Yeah, you know what? It's waiting for the same. It keeps going up, I think, in anticipation of some type of a big announcement about infrastructure development. That's what, because then it'll blow the lid off of, relative to everything else. And so every time the Chinese, like we saw it up pretty good last week, a couple days, when the Chinese, it used to be total sync with the S&Ps, but that's broken down because there's some days the S&Ps are up strong and the copper can't rally. So it is just waiting for some type of big infrastructure program. That's why you get some ups and then it comes down, and it gets some ups. So I think that's exactly right. But it's indicative that you just can't get these programs off the ground. You cannot get these politicians into a situation where they ought to be as far and take the pressure off the central banks by actually ramping up fiscal stimulus. The United States is
Ira, and I just went to the Deutsche Bank calls, okay? And the only ones that are remotely liquid are the ones for next Friday. 22,000 open interest. They were trading at 35 and 39. Now they're priced at 43. I was going to put in a bid for a few, like at 37, and just to see if I get. Because that's, either you buy the stock or if you want to take a flyer on some lottos, that's it for tomorrow.
Well, the thing is, if he doesn't give that tomorrow, it'll correct. But it still may be worth buying it on a good correction because, again, we're getting Christine Lagarde, okay? This is going to be a different ECB because she's not in the central banker mode. I don't know that Mario Draghi was either, but she is there as a politician and is to put pressure on the politicians across Europe to put some type of fiscal stimulus. And I think if she can get the Germans on board, everybody else will fall right in line. And to me, that's what her mission is, coupled with then move to create some type of Euro bond, which is, I've discussed that for 5 years already, 6 years. That's what the end game has to be. They just have to have a person who's able to make it happen.
Ira, I'm more and more concerned about Germany and the psychological shift that could be starting to take place there, and not for the better.
Yeah. No, that's true, but that makes it more important than ever. And let's go back to the Financial Times article today with the 6 women who are aligned. But I'm not even looking at. I'm just looking at Europe and what their goals in Europe are, which is very important. What's her name? Van Leyen, Ursula. Will she have enough strength? I don't know. If she'll have enough strength to make this doable. But I'll tell you this, Christine Lagarde, again, took this position for a reason, and if she lines up with her, it could happen. It could happen. And I won't say I never thought it could. I was doubtful it could happen as quickly as it might take place here because of how bad Germany is. And it's not just the economics, because I'd argue the economics in Germany aren't that bad. Let's look at the unemployment data. That's not that bad. What's bad in Germany is the political situation is starting to change dramatically. So that's what has to be spoken to.
And what does Germany get out of it, right? I mean, what does Europe give Germany? What does the ECB or Brussels, right? Because remember, I mean, months ago, Ira, I think we talked about Germany would have to have some incentive to play along with the Eurobond game.
Well, here's the quandary that they're in. And again, the Germans really have to ask themselves, how far do they, it's now getting to that existential question about how far do you want to go in this? How far? Because I'll tell you what, Trump has not been in favor of a strong Europe. But him and Macron were a little too buddy-buddy. And if Trump were tomorrow were to say to the Germans, I'm throwing tariffs on your cars, the Germans would have a very difficult situation. If he singled them out like that. And from the comments that Navarro made, and again, this is not conspiratorial, because I'm not a conspiratorialist. But when Navarro starts talking about it, the discussions are taking place on a high level about Germany. So Germany has to ask itself, we're in this project, we're in the EU project, we have a lot at stake here because we've bankrolled this whole damn thing anyway. How far are we going to go?
Yep.
And you know what? And there's plenty of people in Europe who argue that the Germans have benefited immensely because they've had a tremendously undervalued currency in which to sustain and build upon their export sector. Hard to argue with that.
Yeah, but they could turn around and say, but Ira, they could say, but we didn't do that, and we didn't ask for it.
No, they'll say that, and more importantly, they'll say, that's not why we're doing well. We're doing well because we made the hard decisions that none of you wanted to make.
Bingo.
When they get, every discussion has many sides to it, but they are going to have to ask themselves, how far do they want to go? And they better do it quick, because the rise of the AfD, and I'm not making points about the radical right, the Nazi Germany. I'm not making that point at all. The problem is the economic fallout from the financial repression of the German saving class. That's what I'm talking about. Because to me, that has done more to lift the alternative for Germans, because that's how they started, don't forget. In 2013, when those 5 economic professors formed this party and put it together, it was based on being anti-ECB and being anti what Brussels was doing. So they're just returning to their roots. And this is very problematic because Germany they're not thinking this through as to where they want to go. But, it's getting to go time, and they're going to have to make a real decision as to how they want to proceed here.
All right, so while we're on here, Ira, some hamsters are front-running me in everything I want to do, and gold euro's officially outside reversal higher and going.
Oh, is it going? Yep.
Oh, yeah.
What else? What else is going on around it? That's really the question.
Well, Fleur's taking off again. That's up ahead.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Fleur's up big. Marvel, it's a lot of the chip names are going. The Dow has just been screaming. I mean, I've got that going another 500 points minimum.
What is the Dow?
Oh, yeah. The Dow's been leading this whole rally. It's at 27,000 and change. It's a new highs for the year.
What's the Canadian dollar doing today?
The Canadian is just languished. And actually, the futures sold off. They're down 28 ticks. Dollar Canada's trading at 132.
Yeah, and it performed so good for 3 days. And then what is oil down today?
Yeah,
What are they?
the oil inventories came out, and then the thing about Bolton and Iran, and they smoked the oil for a couple of bucks, $3 out
Okay.
of the opening
Now that's what did it.
downside,
Yeah.
and that did it.
Yeah, that's it. So, I mean, these analysts who have it trading totally with oil, I go, you know, you just had some economic data out of there. It was unbelievable. But they just, you know, resigned themselves to the oil. They tie it totally to the oil. So, you know what? I'm going to use it as an opportunity to put the Canadian Swiss back on. I got out of it, but I'm going to put it back on. Because it was struggling. It broke through the 200-week yesterday on that Canadian Swiss. So I wanted, maybe it came back and held it. I just wanted to, I never trust first-day breakouts anyway.
Yeah, and the big breakout there is 76.34. That's the quarterly breakout in the cross.
And that's the 200-week too, I think, on the Canadian futures.
Yeah, I was just looking at Canada Swiss. So.
Oh, yeah, but look at the outright Canadian dollar futures. I think 76.34 or something is the 200.
Yeah, it was like 76.22. Was the 200-day, the 200-week in the cash, and then the futures came in at, it was 22.32 or 34 or something, but the cash went, you know, has another 10 years worth of data.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. But so tomorrow, and I'm going to warn you, be patient because I don't know, you know, this is Draghi's going away party. So what he's going to speak to at the press conference will be interesting.
Okay, well, we'll have our track shoes on.
Yeah, because I believe this is far more important than the Fed meeting the following week.
Yeah.
So, you know, you got to really pay attention here because the world, you know, he built up expectations to such a level, although some air has been taken out of it, which is a good thing.
Ira, your other ugly stepchild, ABB, is up a bit today, up a little over 1%.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You got a weak Swiss currency, which makes them more competitive. If there is infrastructure development in Europe, ABB will be a huge recipient of those projects. And as you can see, they're far better managed than Fleur is, even though they're in so much of the same businesses.
Yeah.
So, Ira, if there's some sort of infrastructure, is there any publicly traded German company that you'd be interested in?
I haven't done enough work there to tell you that. I don't know. You know, I've looked at German real estate companies. I missed that. I blew that because that was really a good play. But I've not looked at the German. You know, you can always look at Siemens and ThyssenKrupp. You know, there are enough big German engineering firms, but I'm not familiar enough with the financial aspect of them and how they operate in certain segments. So I can't answer that question.
All right, well, ABB is higher on the quarter.
Okay. Well, again, it's really got...
It's got a huge move. For ABB,
you know
last
what?
week is just stratospheric.
They are in a very good position here, especially if there's any. And Europe needs massive. You know, they haven't done anything there. They've been so tight, and when the Germans squeezed everybody with fiscal austerity, you know, after they bailed the initial bonds out with Draghi's whatever it takes, because it was coupled with, you know, massive amounts of fiscal austerity. Nobody was spending anything, so there is room here, but we'll see. We'll see.
You know, Ira, ABB's got a pretty tasty dividend.
Yeah, I know. I know. I own it. I've owned it. It's one of those too. I've just been in it. It was one of my stocks that I've held. It's another one I've held for years, coming out of the coming out of March 2009 when I was looking for things that I thought could do well. But it's done nothing. It's really I've done nothing. All I've done is earn a dividend.
Hey, Ira, is there from a trading standpoint, is there a place in ABB that you would consider adding?
Yes, but only on a setback, and it would have to be a setback because maybe they hit the bonds because you got fiscal stimulus. I'd have to see the way it took place, but I know the formation is really tight. So if I really like it, I'll just buy here and I'll set it below. I don't know the lows that it made maybe back in where was the low made? May. I'm not in front of the machine, so I
like 1800.
August low at 1771.
Yeah,
Man, if it gets back down at 19.5, you can nibble.
No, that's exactly what I was looking at on the chart. 19.5 looks nice.
Yep. So I'd rather buy it here and use that 1770 area because I know it did have a low down there when everything was getting trashed. But I think that if Europe gets itself together, of course, the Swiss should be a weak stepchild unless they've got something up their sleeve. But I don't see that yet at all.
There's a whole lot of there's so many interesting things coming up, Ira. I am so looking forward to just getting your take on everything in the next week. From what we've been talking about these last couple of months, the table is being set for the fourth quarter volatility, not just in the U.S. but all worldwide markets.
Yeah, no question, and you see, tomorrow becomes a very important day.
Yes, it does.
Because if Draghi goes very aggressive, again, the dollar should take a bid, and then he traps Powell again.
I think just judging from, and this may be neither here nor there, but judging from the volume yesterday morning, especially when they were trying to break the equity markets, the S&P specifically, and then again today, it's looking to me like we're setting up for another front run. Like we've got some friends and family plan going on that started yesterday. We had some pretty big volume in the first couple hours in the morning. They were trying to hammer it, and there was a lot of buying that came in.
Yeah, you know what? It is Europe.
Yep.
So,
Ira, somebody knows something somewhere.
Yeah, always, especially there. That's why I look at Reuters. I think there's a leak source for when they want stuff out. I think Reuters gets it before anybody else. Just my anecdotal opinion, nothing more. And it is Europe. There's everything. It's a lot of insider game.
Yes, there is.
That's why I'm digging that gold and euro chart.
Yeah. No. That's right. But if they actually do some of this right, the euro, because people are massively underinvested in Europe.
Guys, I've increased my gold position. I bought more calls.
You did?
Oh, yeah. As soon as I saw that gold and euro starting to go, I bought more.
That was yesterday. I was going to respond back to Robert Kramer's email on that email channel. I was going to say, you want a lottery ticket? Buy some gold calls or GDX.
Yeah, that's not his nature.
I did.
It's not his nature.
Yeah, I noticed that he said, as an investor, from an investor standpoint. So I didn't respond. But
yeah, he's 85 years old.
Wow, God bless him.
He's 85 years old. He still hits the light bag, and he hits it well. He's in such great shape. I can't believe he's 85.
And he hits it well.
He hits it well. I mean, really, his legs look like he's 50 years old. When he said, "How old do you think I am?" I said, don't get angry at me. I said, I think you must be 70 if you're asking me the question. He goes, I'm 85. I go, oh my God, I couldn't do that.
That's great.
I couldn't believe it.
Have a safe trip. You're driving all the way to AZ?
AZ.
Ooh, it's going to be hot and heavy.
AZ, although I told my wife I might make it down to Tijuana and to hell with everybody. Don't come looking for me.
If you get in trouble, call me. I'll fly down there and get you.
I just bring money. We don't.
Yeah.
That's all it takes in Tijuana.
Money or gold coins. Like
All right.
Judd did.
All right, thanks, Ira.
Yeah, thanks, Ari. Have a safe trip.
Okay.
See ya.
All right. All right.